Oh, hi there. Okay, so get this. I'm on Pacific time, so it's 6:54 p.m. I've actually, not entirely been controlled in the sense of what my sleeping pattern's like for a long time. And I quite often have vivid dreams. And they're not exactly bad or anything like that, but it's a thing. And obviously it's almost like my brain's not done with its adventure when I'm supposed to be asleep. I don't know why, but I have to say it kind of quickly because my dreams typically evaporate quite quickly for me, whereas for other people, I don't know, but for me, they evaporate quite quickly. And you may wonder, well, why did you do them? We're in a Washington Capitals jersey, and Stanley Cup hat of Alexander Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals. And why I say Alexander Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals is because, okay, here's what the dream was like. Okay, there were four of us. There was myself. I was in the passenger seat. Next to me was a fellow, and I'm not going to say he 100% looked like Alex Ovechkin, but he looked more or less like Alex Ovechkin. He was wearing, regular clothes. And there were two fella in the back. One of them I distinctly remember as looking like Sidney Crosby. And remember, this is only just a few minutes ago I've woken up. And I had to say this while my memory it's not evaporating from my memory so quickly. Um, and the other guy, he looked like Chris Letang, I believe. Um, but at the time, I think he looked more like Evgeny Malkin. I know, it sounds like a strange kind of, brain hallucination to have. However, it's simply how the dream went. Anyway, we were in the outback, and we were driving what felt like an all-terrain vehicle, but really it was. I was only looking at it from the inside, but it looked more like some sort of auto Cadillac to me, and it was able to handle the terrain and things like that. And Alex Ovechkin was driving, much to the disconcert of Sidney Crosby, and I'm going to say Chris Letang over Evgeny Malkin. I guess there were some points in the dream where it looked more like Evgeny Malkin, but this time it looked more like overall I'd say more like Chris Letang. And Alex Ovechkin, he was like an animal, man. Like nothing bothered him. If there was one example earlier on in the dream, and it was only like a minute long dream. Maybe the dream for me was longer. I have no friggin' idea, but from what I remember, it was about a minute long, and a lot of things happened in that minute. Anyway, we're driving around, and Alex is driving too fast anyway. But yeah, what had happened was this giant tree fell down in front of us, and Alex eventually doesn't want to slow down, man. Like he wants to speed up, if anything. So he does like a swerve around it, right? And Sidney Crosby's in the background, like I didn't verbally hear any character other than myself in the actual dream, but to me, it seemed as though Sydney was complaining, and judging by the facial expressions I saw, it looked like he was rather angry, and he may have had a reason. I mean, remember, it's just a simple dream. That's all it was. And but at that point, sometimes it doesn't have to be said in a dream, but like when you hear it, it's like, or not hear it, but when you're having the dream, it's almost as if you understand the concept. and Alex Ovechkin. Oh, a tree fell down. That's not going to slow him down. Uh, did he turn right or did he turn left? I couldn't say. He went around the tree, is what he did, and this was a big honking tree, right? And he kept speeding along, and there was a wild river running left side. Yeah, yeah, it was left side. There was a wild river. I know that much. And when he turned around, he was still like because the fallen over tree wasn't going to stop him from wherever we were going. And you know, it, everyone started noticing that parts of this vehicle were flicking off and things like that. And yeah, at least I turned around and took a look, and I could see these things flying backwards, right? And it turns out that the reason Alex Ovechkin was going so fast was because there was somebody chasing us, and it was exactly like that video game. It may have been Buck Bumble, but I don't think it was. But the same style, basically, you're running away from, bees and things like that. That's my phone ringing right now. I will phone back whoever it is phoning me, but they're not interrupting my video about a dream. So shut up, or I'll forget it, and I don't want to do that. I want a video record of what happened exactly in this dream. Okay. So anyway, that was a thing, like it seemed like we were driving real fast, and I'm not gonna say it wasn't fun, but it was like, where are we going and what are we doing? Those kinds of questions, and so we continue going, and it's like, there are trees all around. There's a mountain in the distance, river on our left side. Um, uh, Trying to figure out what did happen next before I forget. Okay. I think I remember. Like it was vivid at the time, but these dreams they slip out of your memory quite quickly. I think it's some sort of chemical thing. I've had dreams like this before, where that's exactly what's happened. Anyway, a freaking bear, man. Like a bear reached out with his claw, and its arm was simply not long enough, or paw, or whatever you call it, anyway. And it missed the vehicle, not because Alex Ovechkin, who was driving, did anything to avoid it, but it missed anyway. And we drove right past it, and I think one of the people in the back, whether it was Sidney Crosby or Chris Letang or Evgeny Malkin, one of the two, and as I said, their faces look slightly different at different times depending on the time frame of the dream. And so what happened was they both turn around, and it was more of a sensation that I noticed that they turned around, like a sense, rather than me actually looking. But I did actually look, and I saw that both of them, that their shoulders were crossed, and nobody was actually wearing a jersey, not even me. But I'm wearing a jersey right now because this was like kind of an extraterrestrial hockey type dream. So I figured it would be interesting to talk about. Uh, and dreams, sometimes they can manifest themselves out of out of places and things like that, right? It's not a weirdo thing. It's a chemical thing that goes on in your brain. Oh, crud. Uh, Things are already getting like, oh, what the hell's happened in the dream? How did this thing resolve? All right. Okay. So, Okay, all right. What I remember is the whole dream. We're in the car, okay, and we're driving super fast. That is the entirety of what the dream was about. Um, and we were going super fast, and Alex Ovechkin was not listening in the slightest. And at times, it seemed like that the passengers, I mean Sidney Crosby and Crystal Tang, had seatbelts, but at other times it seemed like they didn't. And I know those are the kind of people that would always wear a seatbelt. I always wear a seatbelt, but it didn't feel like they were, or it didn't seem as though it was that while I was having the dream. It did at certain points, but at other points that were, being tossed around like. I have no idea around, but like tossed around. It's like their seatbelts. I don't know what happened there. It's simply not how the dream went. And anyway, we're going like super fast. If I didn't say that already, and it's like um, yeah, out in the forest or whatever, and huh. How did this dream resolve on? It's escaping me as I'm telling it. All right. It, oh, don't let me forget. This will be the most embarrassing thing if I can't remember. Uh, what had happened was that, yeah, we were going, really fast, and, we never quite did make it out of the forest. I know that much for sure. However, it didn't seem as though we were in any kind of immediate peril under other than the vehicle we were in, and Alex Ovechkin was just being a little bit eccentric. He was quite skilled at what he did, and I do remember the passengers as well as myself thinking, "Oh, as soon as this vehicle stops." We're gonna have a word with this guy, man, because he is like, driving like a crazy person, and he was having a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it. And like again, like it didn't always quite look like Ovechkin, but for the most part, I would say it looked like Ovechkin. Like obviously, I know what he looks like quite well. However, sometimes there are people who make a lot of money and who are on television whom you could see out on the street, and depending on the context, you wouldn't know them that well. Okay, that's officially everything I remember about the dream. I mean, like, there was things going on, more happened, but it all happened really fast, and it was like, it wasn't actually a bad dream. Like I've had many a bad dream before where there are things going on and they're quite vivid and all this and that and the other, and they've not been fun dreams. Like I've had dreams where it feels like I'm floating throughout an old ghost house or something like that, and didn't like that dream very much. It felt uncomfortable and displaced, and I've got to take medications and things like that, and I have mixed alcohol, so that might induce some sort of a dream. I wish I remember what happened more in it because there were other stuff that happened in it too that were noteworthy. But it's escaping me. I can't remember. Uh, you know, 20 odd minutes ago when I was making the video, I could have, if I was awake at the time, which it felt like I was, but I wasn't, like kind of like you're asleep, but you're not really asleep, but you are asleep. And then when you wake up, it's like everything starts to fade away as far as memories go of what that dream was like. That all was a thing, and it was like it all reminded me of Ace Ventura. When nature calls, when Jim Carrey's driving through the jungle and the his guide who's with him is like, "Oh, can't we slow down just a tinsy wincy little bit?" And then Jim Carrey's like, "Nonsense, poopy pants." He continues to drive erratically and fast, and they end up at the General Consulate's uh, parking spot. Now, like, that's not exactly what happened, but that was kind of, the perception of the dream from my point of view, anyway, because it was my dream. That's simply how it works. Um, I'm not saying that happened in the dream, but that was kind of the underlying unmentioned sense, and not that I remember at this point, definitely not, of if that was the scene or not. Um, as I, if I recall correctly, we were still in the vehicle driving real fast when I had awakened from bed from my dream. And for some people, when they have dreams, it's like I don't know. I don't think I move a lot of my dreams, but maybe I do. I don't know. Because no one's ever come out and said, "Oh man, like you were having like a conniption in your dream or something like that." And that could be entirely possible if like your dream's vivid and it almost feels real. It's not in the dream, but you don't get up anyway. Uh, anyway, and it was like it was it almost felt like an arcade game, like we were playing in an arcade game. We were the characters in an arcade game, and it was like, oh, like what brought this on? Uh, I really do not know. Um, I'm someone who's used to having dreams and not remembering exactly what they were like. The important parts I remember, and I said, and I'm already beginning to forget what they were. So, which is good to make a video journal of such things, because it could be helpful later in case I need to recall upon. Because I don't know, somehow about dreams, that's how the chemistry works in your brain as you begin to forget them real quick. For some people, anyway. I don't know. It's a different thing for other people. I have no idea. However, for me, I know sometimes I have vivid dreams, and like uh, I begin to forget them quite quickly, and I don't always want to do that. Sometimes I go, "Oh, I don't like this dream, so I'm gonna forget about it." But this one, I did actually enjoy it while I had the dream, but obviously, it sounds like a crazy person's delusion, is what it sounds like. And we were in the car, and I was in the front seat, and then what the hell's happened? Uh, like, um, uh, I guess nothing of significance. Um, you know, um, I think Alex was just trying to, show that he was the wild man of the forest. Like almost like Sasquatch got behind the wheel of the vehicle, and he was in control of where it was going because he was pissed off that everyone had been calling him a Sasquatch for so long. And he was funny, like, well, it's my turn to show you what the forest is really like. And I'm not saying in the dream he looked like Sasquatch, but it was almost like, I guess that could have been part of the dream. Anyway, uh, yeah, and don't think because I'm saying he was Sasquatch that he was poorly dressed or his beard was unkempt or anything. It more seemed like a simple underlying factor that was imprinted in my head that I think that's what he thought at the time for some reason. I don't know why. And I mean, I'd like to say that we actually did end up crashing, but we didn't. I don't believe that happened. But I guess it would have been funny if he crashed in, kind of a harmless way. Maybe, got uh, bogged down in some like giant field of mud or something like that, and the back trunk with all the supplies we need for the day sprang open, and there was alcohol, there was barbecue equipment as well as food, and not simply meat, but like, 'cause, you can cook corn on the barbecue, hey, and it ain't too bad, and things like that. I'd like to say that's what happened, but I don't seem to recall that happening in my dream. I don't think that happened. However, it may have tailed off, is what had happened. But I didn't say, it would have turned into a barbecue. Is the way mindset was thinking, because throughout the dream I was going to myself, I was thinking in my head that Alex Ovechkin, he knows what he's doing. Perhaps that was some kind of mechanism for me not to be scared, going, he knows what he's doing, he knows what he's doing. And, that may be not indicative to what the dream was actually like, because sometimes you're not in control of your dreams, or a lot of the times you're not. It simply happens. And so I'd like to say the dream, ended up turning into a barbecue, uh, where, there's all kinds of things you can barbecue. You'd be surprised. All kinds of vegetables and things like that. And, it doesn't simply have to be cheap meat. For a lot of people, that is what it is, but, it doesn't always have to be that way. And like, yo, dude, like, I remember some Gordon Ramsay, episode, I suppose, on Cooking Kitchen, whatever Hell's Kitchen or whatever show he has, where somebody came up with the idea of barbecuing lettuce. And it looks cool and all, but you can't wash it properly if you barbecue lettuce as a whole. Okay, so now that was all I remember of the dream. If anything else significant that was different from what I had explained from the dream, it didn't happen. Because that was how the dream was constructed. That's how it seemed to be. So there was no other things that happened in the dream that were radically different from what I explained. This was simply a road trip that had an overexcited person behind the wheel, driving this vehicle extremely fast. And, it's almost funny, but it's like, yo, that was a dream, yo. I think you're, thinking about it too hard. So, like that. I don't know. So, okay, that's all I remember from the dream, and already that's escaping me. I'm gonna have to rewatch this video to entirely remember exactly what happened. Anyway, yeah, what else is there to say? Because yeah, it was simply another dream that I'd had. And I've made videos, and like I've woken up and instantly gone to the computer to make a video before it escapes me, my memory, that is, which happens every now and then, particularly in regards to vivid dreams that I have. And sometimes it feels like the spirit leaves the body when you have these type of dreams. And they're not necessarily a bad thing. They're an unusual thing, that's for sure, but not necessarily a bad thing. Although I've had dreams that were bad in the sense that, I mean, I've had dreams like I mentioned about Angelina Jolie, where I said something she didn't like, which was don't travel to any Southeast Asian countries, and I said this was at, like, the UN or some sort of council anyway, and it was like a dark cloud illuminated around her, and I was like, oh dang, I shouldn't have said that, because she was very, very mad at that point. Like, it was similar to a dream like that, which I made a video about before. Not that there was any negativity or anything like that, but Yeah, there was definitely unpredictability. There was that. Like, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And I suppose this isn't too terribly great a story, but it was a thing. And, at least how my unconscious brain was thinking. Um, uh, uh, yeah. Anyway, I'm awake now. I'm awake. Um, oh, I guess those are one of them mysteries ain't nobody gonna know, not even myself, exactly how, the dream entirely folded. I suppose that was probably the end of the dream, actually. That's why I don't remember it at all, even though the rest of the memories are starting to escape me as well. Uh, yeah, this all sounds like a kind of like a delusional giant brain fart or something. So anyway, I figured I'd share that, and I also am making mention that I was not wearing an Alex Ovechkin jersey or this hat while I made, well, not made, but had that dream. And it was just simply a thing that happened. Is all it was. Anyway, before someone starts thinking, "Oh, he's making all this stuff up." No, I wasn't making it up. Uh, Never mind. Um, to think about it, maybe there was a Hank Hill reference somewhere in there. Oh, that I remember nothing in detail about. It seems as though it was something. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now and probably go answer that phone that someone phoned me. It could have been anybody. It probably was my aunt. It's coincidental. Nobody phones me all day friggin' long. And while I'm in the middle of a video talking about something, somebody's got a phone and try and throw off my concentration. Anyway, I'll talk to you people later. Yourselves have a good one. Good day.